What's shaking, bacon? In today's video, we're gonna go over my new bod pod results for the month. So every month I do a scan that tells me my body fat percentage, muscle mass, bone density. It actually wraps those two up into lean mass, into like just one category. It's the equivalent of a DEXA scan, and I get a DEXA scan done in early January because I started with this challenge, one at the beginning of my challenge, and I'm gonna do one at the end of the challenge. And in the meantime, I'm doing bod pod exams because it's only a half hour away versus driving to Toronto to do another scan. And the interesting thing about this month's results is they're really bittersweet. It's gone really sideways. You know, it sounds like really good news when I tell you this part coming up. I've lost almost 11 pounds. So everyone thinks, well, that's great. This is what you want. But it wasn't a good 11 pounds. It was mainly lean mass. I knew I was down in weight. I could tell just by the way my clothes fit. Now, I was down another inch on my waist. I use a brand new weight belt I got when I started this challenge. And when I got this belt, you know, those belts are very thick and they go around your midsection when you're doing heavy weights to support your core. And I have an abdominal hernia. So my abdomen is split down the center in my erectus abdominis muscles. What happens is I get like a bulge in the middle of my stomach if I do some sort of sit-up. I use this belt to really secure my core so that I can do some deadlifts and squats without throwing my back out. It's been working really well. And when I started on the first month, I was on the last hole on the belt. I just fit into this belt, and they're really thick leather, so it's really tough to sort of, you know, put into place and then get the belt clip in there. And I'm down 3 inches on that. So I'm down in my waistline, which was part of this goal. My lean mass went down, I think, over 9 pounds. 9 pounds in a month. Now, to me, there's 3 potentially obvious reasons why that is. It could be a combination of all of them. The first thing is I lowered my food intake to about 3 to 4 pounds a day for most days. So I was in a caloric deficit, but I assumed I might be getting enough protein in my day to meet my needs as far as my lean mass goes. To my surprise, I think that played a big part in this. Before I was getting more like 5.5 to 6 pounds of meat a day for the month 2 and probably the last 3 weeks of the first month. And, you know, my muscle mass, my lean mass went up each month. My body fat percentage went down. So I went up after 2 months, I went up over 100 calories in my daily expenditure of calories. So from around 2450 to about 2550. This month came, so I'm back under my original daily caloric calories. I'm at roughly 2450 again. This really caught me by surprise. I did not expect this. So I said right from the beginning, if lowering my overall calories meant losing lean mass, that wasn't the direction I wanted to go in. So there's a potential way I could course correct there, but I'm not sure if I want to because I only have 1 month left in this challenge. And the goal was to see how much lean mass I could put on over a period of 4 months. Now, at this point where I'm at, even if I could put on 10 pounds of lean mass in a month, I lost it in a month. It might be possible to get it back in a month. But the problem with that is, come January, I'm gonna be doing a new challenge, and it's probably gonna be at about 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day. So I can increase my weight loss and try and keep a certain amount of lean mass. Now, after the results I've had between 3,000 and 4,000 calories a day, about 3 to 4 pounds of red meat, ground beef, losing that much lean mass, it's really making me want to lean towards 3,000 calories a day, not 2,000 calories a day. So I'm gonna spend the month researching this, finding out what I could do to try and manage this a little bit better. So my overall calories went down in a month. So by eating 2 to 3 pounds less meat a day. But I still thought I'd have enough protein to keep my lean mass up. Clearly that wasn't the case. The other option is there is always the potential that the machine just didn't work right. So we'll know next month if the numbers are right back up if that was the case, right? So I weigh myself on a scale before I go into the machine. So the scale reflects an accurate almost 11 pounds. So that's what measures the weight, and it's a good size, good quality scale. The bod pod measures all the other numbers, my resting metabolism, my body fat, and my lean mass. So they're two separate machines, so I'm definitely down. I can tell by my waist, I can tell by that scale. Those things synced up. Debbie, the person who was doing the exam, she was like, oh, this is great news. And I was like, that's not great news. This is not what I was going for. So we were both trying to brainstorm what it could be. The third thing that it could possibly be is there's always a chance that my thyroid gland is working better. Between the iodine supplements I take, all beef diet, it's not uncommon that people's autoimmune disorders start clearing up, which is one of the reasons why I originally started doing this. And to do the exercise all month, to keep a perfectly clean diet all month, and then all of a sudden to lose 11 pounds and probably about 9 pounds of lean mass in that month, a thyroid issue, that would explain it, probably more than anything else in my opinion. So short of the machine for some reason not working properly, I'm leaning towards thyroid. My energy's been okay. There's been no problem, it's been good. I haven't had any reasons to complain. I've been sleeping pretty good for most of this month. Typically when I start to get hyperthyroidism, because my medication is now too strong, because my thyroid is improving, this happened to me once before. And what happened was I started getting some chest palpitations. And having a history of a heart attack, I was pretty concerned about that. But I also thought, you know what? This makes sense. I've been taking iodine at the time. I believe I was doing some intermittent fasting along with the lion diet. And it made sense that my thyroid got better. So I got some blood work done, and for the first time in 25 years, my prescription dropped. Instead of continually going up over a 25-year window, it dropped. It dropped to almost 25% in strength. So that's how much I improved my thyroid in that window of time. Now, I accidentally did some intermittent fasting this month. I didn't plan on doing it, it's just the way it worked because a couple days I wasn't prepared. I ate quite a bit in, say, a 2-hour window. It happened just a few times, but not enough to justify these numbers. So now, those are 3 of my main options. Less calories, which would make sense all on its own for my weight loss, but not losing that much lean mass in a month. That doesn't make sense. The bod pod not working properly, my thyroid might need to get checked. I don't want to bug my doctor too much. It's tough to get appointments nowadays with him, so he might be kind of interested in all this actually. He's learning quite a bit about nutrition. And that's pretty cool. Most doctors aren't down that path. He's definitely not on the carnivore train with me, but I think a part of him will be intrigued by my numbers I'm getting with this. So let's go over the numbers. Test 1 to test 4, I was originally at 44.8% body fat for a percentage, and now I'm 42.6. So, it's not bad, but I'm up body fat percentage from last month. And that's because my lean mass went down. So, it's not just that I lost weight, but I lost so much lean mass. So my fat-free mass started at 185.8, so that's my lean mass, and now I'm at 187. So that's not cool. That actually went up. So the goal of this was to lose weight as a side effect of putting on lean mass. So it's like the first 2 months just got undone by the 3rd month. So I'm leaning towards thyroid with this. The body mass per pound, I started at 337, and at one point I went up a pound, which was pretty neat. And then, or I went up a little bit actually. It went up almost half a pound, and then I went up almost a full pound from there. And now I'm down to 326. So overall, I'm down 11 pounds. If you look at my estimated resting metabolism rate, I'm down under what I originally started at. So this is where I think thyroid, because to lose 9 pounds in a month when you've been working out with weights doesn't make sense. Like, I shouldn't have lost lean mass. I could understand losing weight and maintaining or staying really close to my lean mass, maybe if it would have gone down a little bit, but not that much. Something's off. We'll switch over to the overall body composition test results, and my fat percentage is 42.7. 139 pounds of fat. Lean mass, 57.3, so 187 pounds of lean mass. Now, I was higher. I was getting really close to the 200 mark of just lean mass. We need to take into account, I don't want to try and put on 10 pounds of lean mass again over this month, or even try and attempt. I don't know if I would even be able to do that, but if I could try and attempt to do that, just to undo it again and come my next challenge from January through March, maybe January into April. The reason why I'm thinking about only doing it till March, the lion diet only till March, is come January I'm going to be making some capicolo, and it's like an Italian cured meat, and make it in January. It'll be ready sometime in March, and I want to try it in March or April. So I might just do January, February, March with the lion diet. Now, I may consider holding off on that longer if I get to March and my weight is down substantially, my lean mass is maintained or it's been going really well, and more importantly, if it is my thyroid and that's been getting better all this time. That's a real awesome side benefit, and it's worth running with, which means I would stick to the lion diet, because the thyroid is the master gland. That's what controls your metabolism more than everything else. Insulin's a big one for most people, but when you have hypothyroidism, that's the one that screws with your bone density and lean mass. So your bone density goes down, your muscle mass goes down. You have a slower metabolism. That's when people put on weight with hypothyroidism. What I think might have happened to me, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, I don't know, but I think my thyroid medication is now too strong. If it's too strong, that means my metabolism is now utilizing itself and its lean mass and muscle mass and bone density as fuel. And that's what the thyroid can do. It'll draw right out of the bones for fuel before it starts going to the fat mass. So, there's also a part of me that wouldn't mind losing the weight, but that's not part of this challenge, right? So I should be using my fat as fuel, not my lean mass. My fat didn't even really go down last month. It went up last month. So based on these numbers, that's not a good thing, right? So the question now is, will I stay at my 3 to 4 pounds of meat a day? Since I've already gone down this road for one reason or another, should I just stick with it? Because what's the point of putting on more muscle mass only to go back down with my new challenge down to 3,000 or 4,000 calories a day again for a few months? Because I want to keep raising my metabolism, but I also want to eventually bring my fat percentage down. That's a very serious thing we need to worry about, right? So especially with the history of a heart attack. We'll go over my blood work maybe in the next video. So my cardiologist, not crazy with me right now because she wants me on cholesterol medication. She does not care that I've lost weight. She does not care that my waistline to height ratio is way better than it was months ago. She doesn't care that my metabolic syndrome is better. All she cares about is my cholesterol. She's focusing on the black dot on the white piece of paper. And it's really frustrating for me because it's like I've done all these things, corrected all these health problems. The couple that are left are getting better, and all she cares about is that one thing. It's not uncommon for cardiologists to be excitable when it comes to cholesterol. Sometimes they're just all about cholesterol, and nowadays it's not the issue it used to be. When you actually look online and listen to other cardiologists, how cholesterol is not the issue. So she wants to send me for an angiogram, and I think that's a good way to go because I did go for a CT scan, no, it wasn't a CT scan. Well, I think it kind of was, right? It was a calcium scoring test that finds out what the arteries in the heart look like. Now, because I'm a big guy, the test didn't go too well. So they had a rough time reading them, but they were concerned that my arteries were filled up a little bit more compared to years ago when I had my heart attack. So I'm the one that had to push for that exam. My cardiologist did not want me to get it. She was being a bit of a tool about it, to be honest. When I had to ask her 3 times in a conversation just to get that calcium scoring test. And her argument was, this is to see if you have heart disease. We already know you have heart disease. So why bother getting the test? And I said, well, I want to see what the inside of my arteries look like. Because for all I know, it's been 6 years now. For all I know, those stents could have filled up by 50%. I've only been doing this for a year. For the 5 years before that, I was doing carnivore intermittently. I was doing intermittent fasting intermittently, but when I was off of those things, I was eating junk. I was having tons of junk. It was horrible. So there could have been enough damage caused in that window of time that my arteries could, my plaquing in my arteries could have advanced. So I want to be cautious of that. So weight loss is a big thing to worry about, of course, because when you have good metabolism, it takes care of the body fat percentage. So this was a really, overall, I was discouraged by these numbers. Some people, like the woman Debbie who was doing my exam, she was excited about these numbers and intrigued by these numbers, because I told her last month, I can lose muscle so fast. And she said, nobody can lose muscle that fast. And I said, if I go more than a week without weight training, I said, I've noticed now in my mid to late 40s, after the pump goes away, my arms have always stayed a little bit bigger, to the point where I used to be able to work out between 7 and 10 days for any muscle group. And I could still build muscle off of that schedule of working my chest once every 10 days. And you know, I did that all through my 30s and 20s. I got to that point where I realized that I could wait a good amount of time for my weight training sessions. But I noticed now in my 40s, my late 40s, that if I go past 5 days without working a muscle, it feels like it goes back to square one. I know I'm maintaining muscle to a certain degree. So that's why I'm surprised that those numbers went down. But who knows? Who knows what it could be? So we're gonna have to do some further testing. I'm gonna research this a little bit more. I might even talk to a nutritional consultant who's carnivore friendly or high protein friendly and see what they think about this, because it's worth investigating. But first and foremost, getting that thyroid checked. So overall, yeah, I was discouraged by this because it went in the exact opposite direction I expected this to. So I don't want my metabolism to suffer as I lose weight. That's not good. That's what everyone has to worry about. People always worry when they say they want to lose 30 pounds. They don't mean they want to lose 30 pounds of lean mass and fat. They're thinking when they say they want to lose 20 or 30 pounds that they want to lose just fat. And they don't realize they're losing a lot of lean mass in that. So what happens is you lose the weight and then you have less lean mass. And because you have less lean mass, you have a slower metabolism. And then you go back to your regular crappy diet and you put the weight on even more. Why is that? Because you have a slower metabolism now. It is expensive trying to eat 6 pounds of meat a day. It's not so bad if I can get my ground beef at $3 a pound. That's another variable I did this month too. Debbie at the Bod Pod, she is also, I believe, a registered nutritional consultant, and she thinks the fact that I went from 2 months of straight grass-fed beef to the last 3 weeks of 3 to 4 weeks of a lot of store-bought ground beef, just because I was getting it at $3 a pound on sale, I wasn't going to turn that away. So she thinks that could have been a contributing factor. Can't rule that out. So I don't think it's as much of an issue as the other things, but you know, we're both pretty intrigued by this. She's more intrigued, optimistic. I'm more intrigued, discouraged. But this is part of the process, and this is what we're figuring out. So it'll all be worth it if it turned out to be my thyroid, because then once that corrects, my metabolism will correct. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed this video of if you're following along with this progress. And you know, as each month goes by, you're just gonna see me get smaller and smaller and smaller, one way or the other. And you know, in 6 months, I'm gonna be at a pretty decent place. So right now we're in the early part of December. So by the time we get to late spring, we're gonna be laughing here. Thanks for watching this. And if you can, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and following along in this challenge with me, because I hope to not only learn from this, but I hope that you can learn from this and then be able to apply this to your own weight loss, right? So the secret is to build the metabolism as you lose weight. That's not really the secret. That's what we all know. The secret is how to do it the best way possible. It's nice that we can do these scans to monitor our progress, because if you're just guessing or you're using calipers at a gym or some of these really cheap methods that aren't medical grade methods, it's a good guideline, but it's really a lot of guesswork. So a bod pod and a DEXA scan are both like industry standards. Just one's way more popular than the other. I'll catch you on the flip side next time. Talk to you later and take care.